Riot Games warns LCL Rocks for banning 5 support champs in a single match. What? Riot champs have given official warning to LCL team for 5 support bans in a single game. Navi, John Lu, Thresh, and Brum released an official game. In the game against Vivictus, Team Rocks banned 5 support champions to their pick ban. It's not technically against the rules. They took this as a sign of disrespect. Vegas Squadron was warned alongside Rocks by Riot for intentionally stretching out the match. Riot for games further elaborated. This would be their last warning on their behavior and gender discrimination of any kind. I mean, it's so easy for me to meme an answer to this, honestly. But it's probably the case that I hate to say it because I usually like to riff on Riot for stuff like this. It's super easy for me to riff on Riot about this, but honestly, it's probably Team Rocks that was in the bad. They were probably actually being intentionally disrespectful. The reason I think that is because I actually think that Riot does put work into like figuring out the intention behind like why teams do things. And if teams are disrespecting women in esports, that's actually that's really shitty. Like already women in esports have so many problems. It's already so difficult to be a girl in esports. Like if it's even possible in most games, that like just to have like, yeah, it's probably that the total skill cap of this team is probably not as good as a lot of the other LCS teams. But the fact that like if you're gonna ban, because you're basically, I guess like what Riot probably determined happened was they figured we don't like the skill cap between these two games is so high that we don't care about banning, because like we don't have to ban 3 champions against them because we don't care who they play. So we'll just ban supports just to kind of like make fun of like, oh, girls play supports LOL. That's pretty messed up. I agree with the warning. I think that's good. I don't think that people should I don't think that people should disrespect women in video games for real. The problem that women have in video games and harassment is actually like a real thing. It's like a really big thing. I didn't used to think it was a big thing until I started playing CS:GO with my CLG Red team, and then I realized how absolutely ridiculous it is. You should always respect your opponents, right? This goes back to like, not to get like really memey, but this goes back to like Marcus Aurelius, like meditations and like the 5 rings, right? Like the art of war, like all those like kind of cool things. Like there's honor among warriors. If you're good enough to take 5 people, become a team, and try your best to compete, don't disrespect your enemy, no matter how much the skill gap is between them. Treat them with respect because they're trying to be warriors. So I don't like that. They actually did just play supports? Wait, what? Like, they actually played... Wait, are you saying that this team just plays only support champions in every lane? How about the girls just get good enough to trash the disrespect? Why not even compete if you can't handle people not taking you seriously? So let me give you an example of why that argument is so bad, okay? Why don't African Americans just get good enough to get the same jobs as white people? Why even compete if people are going to not take you seriously? See what you just did there? Okay, there are actual discrimination in our society. There are actual problems with discrimination in our society. The problem with women in gaming is actually real. It's not just like, oh yeah, women just need to step it up. It's that like discrimination in gaming is a real thing, and it's like bad. Riot texting licks. As much as I want to like go in on Riot, for sometimes they make good decisions. So. He meant more that bad players need to step up to win, nothing to do with being female. No, it is to do with being female because the Rocks bans support champions because females play support LOL. So it's directly disrespectful to women. Do you see? The thing is, in the same situation, if Rocks banned 5 support champions against 5 guys, nobody would care. But because it's women, this is why this is an issue. But I agree with that. I think discrimination in esports is like a real problem. Because I literally ran a team where I saw it every day. The issue is determining the focal point as making fun of their skill level or making fun of their gender. Yeah, that's true, Observer Ward, and we can't really know that. We can't know if they were doing it or not. But that's why I said that I trust Riot Games that they made the distinction that they were making fun of their gender. So my guess is that, again, the subtext of this is that Riot probably looked into this. They definitely looked into it. They determined that it was disrespectful towards a gender, right? Because they said that specifically. We took this as a sign of disrespect. And this will be their last warning on behavior related to gender discrimination. So Riot said it was a gender discrimination thing. So they warned them. Actually, it's just a warning. Yeah. And that was that. So Riot, I trust, it pains me to say this, but I trust the research that Riot did on this issue. I think that Riot probably determined correctly that Rox was banning for a gender issue. So we can safely assume that that was the case. Yeah. So you're right. We can't know if it was a skill level thing or a gender thing. But we can figure that it was because Riot did their research. Why are female-only teams playing against real teams in the first place? Why? There's so much wrong with your statement. Oh my goodness, where do I start? Why are female-only teams playing against real teams? What's a real team? Implying that female-only teams are not real teams, right? Why shouldn't female-only teams play against real teams? Because if 5 females want to get together and build an esports team, how is that any different than 5 dudes getting together and building an esports team? Oh man, I just had a Destiny moment because the implications of your argument show how much of an incel you are. Like, that's actually crazy. I've never had that moment. I just became Steven for 5 seconds. Oh, but because your thinking is like playing. But because you see what you did, you said real teams, like implying that there's like some difference between Americans turn everything political or sexist. Everything is fine. Riot is overreacting and you're misreading as well. Situation. Okay, dude. Sure. Do any pro esports have hardline stances on disrespectful and professional behavior? Every esport does. OWL doesn't allow it. LCS doesn't allow it. Do they have like a list of numbers of warnings you can have before being fined? Or do they ban if you just decide you're getting warned, we can ban you for the next comment? So Riot actually has a really well documented and understood process of enforcing their rules. And I think the LCS rules community is one of the most developed aspects of Riot Games as a company. It's very good. It's run by good people. It's annoying when Americans turn everything to politics and sexism. Why is this an American issue? Do you realize that gaming for women is harder than for you? That there's a bunch of really dumb BS that you have to deal with just because you literally talk on a voice chat of a game? This is actual sexism. It really does exist. You can't just say that, well, I guess you can say it, but you'd be a total senseless dick if you say stuff like, oh, it's so annoying when people like bring up sexism. Because it's a real problem, you fucking troglodyte. This is actually something that women have to deal with every day. Holy shit. It tilts me because people sit on the sidelines as like armchair magicians. You've never run a team. You've never been in esports. You've never seen this. You don't know how bad it is. It's really bad. Like the women that go on Twitter and are like, damn, like I'm getting harassed like every game that I log into isn't because they're being like, they're trying to be political. It's because they really have like a serious issue. Show that one clip of the woman playing Rainbow Six and talks on voice. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. It's like the reason I quit Heroes of New Earth is because yeah, it was fine that people told me to die in a fire like once in a while and I could get over it. But after getting told that every single game that I played, when I queued like 10 games a day, it got kind of old to play that video game. So I left, right? Like, if every single time you log on CS:GO and you get told to go into the kitchen and make a person a sandwich, maybe the first 10, 15, 20, pick a number, 50, 100, 500 times, it's okay. Eventually, it gets pretty annoying, okay? And like, being a streamer, I can tell you right now, that's something that happens to me all the time. The number of people that come in here and ask when D&D is, holy crap, makes me not want to do the show. Because it was fine the first 500 times, but we're probably on the 10,595th time that somebody goes into asks when D&D is, when they could just go to the Discord. That's why I put the announcements there. And there's a chat command, and there's everything. I do everything possible, but still, it happens all the time. Okay? And it's like, it just, and that's not even discrimination. That's not even anybody making fun of me, right? Like, that's just like some annoying thing. But like, imagine that as a personal insult towards your gender over and over and over again. It gets old, man. Yeah, it's ammunition. Playing at this level requires so much training and support. You're dismissed out of hand because of your gender. You'll never reach the same level. Uh-huh. Yeah, well said. Exactly, Ray Donick. I'm annoyed and I started watching the stream 2 days ago. Yeah. Yeah. And that's just like that's like more of like a function of Twitch, right? It's like because people are progressively entering the chat, they don't know that I've answered the same question multiple times, right? So like, this is yet another reason why, like, I kind of want to do a YouTube video that just says when D&D is every week, just so I control. No, that's even more. I don't know. Yeah, there's no solution. You just have to deal with it. Jeff, thank you for the 5, man. Much love. Destiny had a conversation with a girl on why girls aren't at the same level as guys. Was really good. Yeah, I don't know why that is. Like, that's something I'm not sure, but. Yeah, the reason why this is complicated is because there's a legitimate gray area here, right? Like, there is people that are false flagging and, like, coming out and be like, oh, I was harassed, and it's like, dude, that wasn't that bad. Like, you know, someone was just making fun of you at the same level that they make fun of, like, anybody in gaming, or you're giving you a hard time. But there's also, like, a really real issue of sexism in gaming, too, that's a big problem that's been persistent. So, you have to, like, sort of balance the two. In a situation like this, my big argument, and the reason I'm going like super hard on defending these girls on this platform, is because this is how do I say this? Esports professionals should represent the correct side of gender equality always, because they're on a public stage. Does that make sense? So like, if someone's like makes an offhanded comment in an Overwatch game, and then like a girl goes and complains to CNN, but the comment like wasn't that like bad. It wasn't like a serious gender discrimination. Like, yeah, like maybe that's like an issue you could argue is like an SJW thing. But if it's like, if you're on a public stage and you're representing a sport, which is what esports is, you should try. Riot and everyone else involved in that production should try, if at all possible, to represent themselves professionally. Women were initially gender rolled into not playing video games. No surprise, it's a constant struggle for them to fight already established community and toxic culture. Yeah. I'm reading the RLL thread on this, and apparently all the players on Vivictus main support in solo queue. I mean, I would argue it doesn't matter, because Riot, like, I can tell you, I know the Riot process for issuing warnings. Like, I can tell you exactly what they do. And I'm telling you, I personally trust Riot's decision that this was a gender discrimination issue. I actually believe them when they say that. Trash talk is part of pro sports. Why not get in their heads? What? There's violations in real sports all the time for like saying too much stuff. You can't just go on a basketball court and start telling people, start calling people the N-word, and then just like when everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, LOL." Like, I'm just trying to get in their heads, you know? Like, like there's obviously like there's obviously like a ton wrong with that, dude. Again, I really think that this is like, I think some of you, and I don't like, I really don't know why some of you have these standpoints, but some of you are so inherently entitled from your upbringing. It's actually crazy. If I just go on the basketball cart and start calling everybody the N-word, I'll get in their heads. That's pro sports thinking, dude. Like, what do you mean? Do you realize these people actually have like, this is like, do you realize that like discrimination is like a serious thing? What do you think about the argument that it was disrespectful to field a team of low diamonds against master level players? I don't know why they were playing against each other. I don't know if it was an LCS thing or whatever. What if it really wasn't a messed up gender discrimination thing? If at all possible, they just banned their top 5 most played champs? Again, we have to trust Riot in that was not the case. If that was the case, then I think it's totally fine. But that's not what Riot said. I get discriminated against for being good looking for gamers. Me too. Feels bad, man. N-word versus banning champs seems comparative. It is comparative because they're both issues of discrimination. You don't need to assign like, oh, N-word is level 5 and like this is level 3. They're both issues of discrimination that shouldn't be allowed on a professional level. How do you not see that? It's not a false comparison because they're both issues of discrimination. If a team is legitimately good against exclusive support-centric champs, then can't they ban them? I realize Riot made a ruling for a good reason, and it was likely the males being shitters, but it's kind of a weird gray area. Sure they can, yeah. If these 5 chicks main those champions, and this girl's gonna go Nami mid lane, and this girl's gonna go Janna top or whatever, yeah, of course, or Thresh top or whatever, then yeah, of course they should ban Lulu ADC or whatever. They should totally ban them. But do you really think that's the issue? Like, why are we even saying that? Like, why are we going over that issue over and over again? Like, Riot says that it's a gender discrimination issue. That's it. So they issued a warning. Don't do that. Riot did it. Like, Riot didn't talk to the dudes, and then the dudes were like, do you think that Riot just didn't talk to Rox? They were like, hey, why'd you do that? Like, they're just like, warning. They did. They talked to them, and the dudes didn't have a good answer. Anyone saying they banned their most played champs for being disingenuous? Yeah, exactly. Did they? Yes! How do we know? Because I understand the entire process of the warning system, and I know they did. I was the CEO of the esports team, so I'm telling you that they did it. Again, you can trust the way that they handled the situation, okay? Just drop the shit about what if they banned their most. They didn't ban 5 support. Did any of you play League of Legends? They didn't ban 5 of their most played champions like that were supports. No one's gonna. What do you think, Janna ADC? Like, what do you mean? You have more inside information, I'm sure, but I don't trust Big Corp ever. That's fair. I mean, like, I don't know if I would trust Riot Games most of the time either. You ban all supports to secure bot lane dominance. Okay. We really gotta get that Braum ADC, dude. You never know. I'm sorry for bringing this up. I know you had something valuable to say. I hope this didn't rally you up too much. No, this is like why I do this stream, is like discussions like this. This is great. If you ever have anything like this, definitely bring it up. If it's something in my wheelhouse, yeah. Business or esports or whatever, yeah. Don't feel bad. That's great. Thanks for the 5 too. Also, yeah, like since we're doing our YouTube channel too, youtube.com/DevinNash. This will be up on YouTube as well because we're going to have a new video up there. Two new videos today and then 1 new video every day. youtube.com/DevinNash. Link it. The only thing that actually slightly tilts me about the conversation is the way that other people show their implicit values in what they type in Twitch chat. So like the guy that said these are real teams, right? Like the guy that's like, why do they allow females to play against real teams? I was immediately like, oh my God, Destiny's right. Like a lot of people betray their actual opinions that they may not even themselves be aware that they have in the way that they type or speak. It's really crazy how that works. I give up. I don't know how to explain what really happened to you Americans. Think whatever you want. See, perfect example. You Americans. So like, because you're from Russia, you automatically have this like, not because you're from Russia, but because you identify it this way, you're automatically identifying that like we Americans are doing something that's like inherently different because of like, so like we're responding to sexism differently because of like something in our culture. Like you have no idea what you're talking about. That's immediately what I mean by like these implicit values, right? It's not just because we're Americans that we have problems with women in gaming. Women in gaming is an actual problem that's worldwide. Like it'd be like the same as me like being like, oh, like LOL, you're a bot in my chat because like you're probably like trying to influence my election because you're from Russia in my chat. So everything you're saying is propaganda that you're being paid for by the state to like, why would I assume that, right? Like do you think a diamond team that explicitly excludes 99% of top players on the basis of their gender is real? Any team that wants to compete in a esports event at any level is real. Any team that puts in deliberate practice to try to be better at a game and to try to compete in a game is real. Gender aside, you are an incel. You think that women are less than men, and that's why you talk the way you do. Okay, I'll copy and paste one more time. It's an old Russian league joke to ban 5 sports. Is ROX a Russian team? They're not a Russian team? Then why are you saying this? It's not considered sexist, but Americans for some reason view it as if it is. Huh. Americans for some reason view banning 5 support champs against women as sexist. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's because it is sexist. Ooh, big brain, dude. Wow. Amazing. You're just a beta male because you wouldn't have these views if you weren't a mama's boy? You got me, dude. The more egregious thing was trolling in the games and not even the bans. Yeah, intentionally. Like, that's, again, like, women or men or whatever, we should not do that. Like, in pro... God, it is raining cats and dogs. Physical cats and dogs are falling on the ground. Pandemonium outside. We should just try to uphold a greater standard in esports for professionalism. Yeah, it said that they were intentionally stretching out matches in the Russian LCL. Oh, okay. Akram's argument is that because it was a Russian cultural meme, that the ROX team typically would ban 5 supports, right? Because you just banned 5 supports against teams as like a Russian meme in the LCL, which I don't know if it's the case or not. That this is okay. Okay, that's fine. So then everything worked out properly, right? Because Riot issued a warning. Hey, that's not okay. We don't do that here. Don't do that. Okay, are we done with this issue? Can I stop talking about this? TLDR, try to uphold professionalism in esports, okay?
Walk, little walk, small talk, big thoughts. Gonna tell them all just what I want. That street, 2 streets, I see you and me hanging on the empty swings.